Liebe Frau Generalkonsulin Archiklesius, chère Madame chargée d'affaires Evelyne Coulombe, chère Madame la sous-ministre adjointe Elisa Valentin, dear partners of the German-Canadian Concourse. Je suis très heureux de vous accueillir ici à Montréal pour le German-Canadian Concourse. Pour moi, c'est un début d'être ici pour cette série de la conférence à Montréal. Par contre, pour le GCC, c'est déjà la troisième fois que nous sommes invités d'organiser un événement avec nos partenaires locaux ici à Québec, à Montréal. Je vous souhaite la bienvenue à ceux qui sont venus ici à la location à Montréal chez Cité Trop pour rejoindre la Konferenz. Gleichzeitig möchte ich mein herzliches Willkommen allen Teilnehmern in Berlin ausdrücken and at the same time also a warm welcome to everybody who is joining us over the web live stream. The German-Canadian Concourse AI in Aerospace was originally planned for 2020, as Alexander was already introducing. The lockdown, as we all know, canceled this program just 1 week before the event was scheduled. The lockdown basically put everything on hold. So we had a full concept of a conference that ended up in the drawer. We have repeatedly been asked during the conference when people got into a modus where they held gatherings virtually, whether we would like to do the German-Canadian Concourse online or as a hybrid or virtual event, against which we have decided against. And this is for a good reason. The motto of our concept of the German-Canadian Concourse is we bring Germany and Canada together on innovation. For us, the connection of ideas, the networking, the developing new collaboration potential requires that people are together and that they have actually the possibility to do a networking event. So we believe that the GCC, I mean, some people might say it's a hybrid concept because we're having one location in Montreal today and one in Berlin, but in the end, we are all physically meeting, and I think this is the essential part. We consider the German-Canadian Concourse as a process. So the GCC is not only the day when we meet, like today, but it's everything that's happening in the run-up to the conference. So we are not an expert conference for AI or for aerospace or for any of the other topics that we have addressed, but we are trying to explore each time that we're holding a conference, new fields of cooperation between Germany and Canada. We explore new topics, so we are scouting out into the different ecosystems in Germany and Canada. We analyze opportunities, strengths, and blockages that these ecosystems have or can identify. And then already in the run-up to the conference, we try to facilitate and try to bring partners together that we already identify and to actually encourage them to get in contact during the German-Canadian Concourse. Our unique selling proposition, as we see it, we bridge between neighboring fields of innovation, and by doing so, we expand the reach. And I think we have done so very successfully. So this slide is showing you, I mean, it's not updated with the logos from this year, but this gives you an overview of companies and organizations we have worked with in the past years since 2012 when the German-Canadian Concourse was inaugurated. At the same time, the format of the German-Canadian Concourse is reducing the entrance threshold to actually explore new ideas, to explore potential for companies, organizations in the other country. So we have this transatlantic symposium. This is that you're attending at the moment. This is the conference that is bringing together Germans and Canadians to exchange on innovation topics. The reason why we don't meet in one location and rotate 1 year Berlin, the other year Montreal is we want to attract people, we want to attract organizations who are not yet fully convinced if there's something in for them. So we allow people to actually travel only locally, regionally, to attend a transatlantic discussion. And we see this as a big factor in bringing people together. And then the follow-up, people and organizations can decide whether they actually want to meet. And we are supporting them then through a matchmaking process. At the same time, we offer a supporting program, a little bit motivated through the fact that we have a 6 hours time shift between our two locations. We have a bit more spare time in the morning in Berlin and a bit more time in the afternoon in Montreal. We have, since very much from the beginning, cooperated with organizations that invite our conference to their premises so that we have the opportunity to actually engage with representatives from the field in the city where we're hosting the GCC, and to actually expand also the exchange in this direction. And last but not least, we have the networking receptions in the evenings that are typically sponsored by our partners. And this is for us, I mean, this is a fun part of doing the networking that is like rounding up the day, and also provides opportunities to further engage into discussions. That the German-Canadian concourse these days is of relevance, I think this can be seen by the many German-Canadian initiatives that are actually taking place at the moment. The Consul General and La Charge d'Affaires have already mentioned a few activities that are taking place. There were references to the Science and Technology Memorandum of Understanding that celebrated in 2021 their 50 years. But we also have recent developments which are, as I believe, of importance for a German-Canadian community who want to actually work together. The countries Germany and Canada will next year co-chair the Eureka Research Network. And I think this is already an indication that these two countries have found each other to advance research activities. At the same time, last week it was announced that Canada is joining Europe Horizon, and by doing so there is obviously a lot of potential for cooperation between Germany and Canada as well. So why remained the prepared German-Canadian concourse in the drawer for so long? A lot has changed since 2020. And despite the fact that the program was ready, that all the speakers were lined up, all our sponsors and partners were ready, there were just a lot of rotations. So we, and I think this is a little bit natural in this international context, we had to re-engage into our partnerships. And the GCC is actually more than just the organization, the Canada and the Germany network behind the conference series, but it's all the partners that are contributing to this event. So I would like to say herzlichen Dank, Frau Generalkonsulin Susanne Archiclesius. You have inherited this program when you came to Montreal. Your predecessors were actually ready to give the welcome speech in 2020, but then they had to leave. We are very happy that you had the vision to work with us on this format and to actually support it and possibly to actually advance it further into the future. The Consulate General, together with the State of Bavaria office, they sponsor the networking reception tonight here in Montreal, and they have done so in the past years. And from what I hear, this is always a good party, so I'm happy to be part of this time. The Embassy of Canada is the partner from the very first moment. The GCC has always taken place in Berlin at Canada House, the premises of the embassy. And I would like to express my special thanks to Madame La Charge d'Affaires Evelyne Coulombe, together with your colleagues, you mentioned the Trade Commissioner Department, Jordan Kahn, Olivier Roy, and their colleagues for making this conference possible over the past years at the embassy. Québec est un partenaire pertinent du GCC depuis 2017 et était essentiel pour positionner le GCC sur le sujet avec un focus sur l'aérospatial et l'intelligence artificielle. We have received for this particular event programmatic advice back then from the Ministry of Economic Affairs, ministère de l'économie et de l'innovation. Aujourd'hui, c'est le ministère des Relations internationales et de la francophonie. Et je voudrais remercier particulièrement Madame Inji Akmour, qui était à l'époque responsable pour le contact, et son successeur, Jesse Malone, qui est... Ah, voilà. Et en plus, je voudrais également remercier la délégation générale à Munich, qui était jusqu'à récemment représentée par Elisa Valentin. Et je suis très heureux que je retrouve Elisa Valentin dans son nouveau rôle, encore une fois, sur le GCC. The Free Hanseatic City of Bremen, the Ministry of Economic Affairs, together with Aviaspace, they have been a partner for many years as well, and they are organizing the networking receptions in Berlin. And as myself, as a citizen from Bremen, I applaud the colleagues from Bremen for the wise spending of our tax money. We have industrial partners, McCarthy Tétrault, to name them first. They have, for the first time now, opened their conference premises in Toronto and in Montreal, and have provided a superb location to run this conference, and also to sponsor the lunch afterwards. We have, for the first time, Foresters, an IP company, as a sponsor, and I think it's always too good to have a good patent attorney at reach when you're talking about innovation. Aviso Conseil, also a partner in the recent years, together with the Consulate General and the State of Bavaria office, is hosting the networking reception at their premises tonight. We have CAE as a logo sponsor and a program contributor. And last but not least, we have Polytechnique as a sponsor of the program, and they have subsidized the participations of students here at this program, which we very much appreciate, because it's important that this network is not an old man's and women's business, but that young people enrich this discussion. We also have partners. I mentioned the field trips. Airbus, for I think the first time, was back on the program in Berlin. Berlin had already, as far as I understand, a very successful visit to the offices of Airbus in Berlin. And after this conference, you will all be invited to come to Centec to learn a little bit more about the ecosystem. Right. So artificial intelligence in aerospace is our topic today. We believe, after having had a conference a few years ago on artificial intelligence in general, where we took a look on the landscape in Germany and Canada, and where we were actually quite impressed by what's happening here in Montreal. I mean, Montreal is quite known to be an aerospace hub. It was quite new for me what was happening in AI back then. So we decided to be back here in Montreal for this conference. But to put a specific angle, AI is a very broad topic, a lot of applications. As we understand AI, it's a strategic competency for industries to position themselves for the future. And we are actually quite curious to learn what that means for an industry which is very much, which is driven by complexity and a lot of safety regulations. With this outlook at the two sessions that we are addressing during the day. I would like to hand over to our moderators, to Alex and to Vera here, but not before also extending my thank you to our own team at the Canada Meets Germany Network, in particular to Vera, who is on the board of the Canada Meets Germany Network, and in Berlin, Christina, who is managing everything back home, Treasure on the board. And thank you very much for the support.